Cardano is about to flip the script on every "it'll never break $1 again" hater that you know. And if you blink, you're gonna miss the rocket. Okay, picture this, right? I'm sipping my lukewarm coffee, scrolling through the headlines, and suddenly I see Bitcoin DeFi on Cardano. Now, my brain does a double take so fast that the mug nearly does a backflip. And I mean, Bitcoin, the grandpa of all blockchains, just wandered into Cardano's backyard and started burrowing the barbecue tongs. Now, that's the kind of crossover event that makes comic book movies jealous, and it's exactly why I haven't shut up about ADA all week. So let me tell you what really happened then. Lace Wallet, so think of that as the Swiss Army knife of Cardano wallets, quietly pushed a protocol update that lets anyone holding dusty old BTC poke around in DeFi without moving chains. No bridges that feel like kind of rope swinging over alligator pits, no wrapping tokens in duct tape wrappers. You open the wallet, you click a tab, and boom, yield farming, swaps, liquidity pools, all right there. Now it sounds tiny. Just imagine if Apple, for example, snuck the full Starbucks menu inside your iPhone overnight. It changes the daily routine of tens of millions of people instantly. And yet, on the charts, ADA's price looks like it was stuck in traffic, down 7% on the week. Now, traders are yawning, algorithms are snoring. Now, I'm staring at the candles thinking, do we all share the same internet? Did I, or at least did we, read the same news? And it kind of felt like when your friend tells you an epic kind of joke in class and nobody laughs until 5 minutes later. It's a delay reaction city. So I started digging deeper, and that's where I stumble onto, 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗡𝗥𝗦 kind of post. This is the guy who isn't just any trader. He actually runs a Cardano stake pool a lot like ourselves, meaning that he's literally got skin in the game and validators kind of humming in his garage like futuristic kind of beehives. Now he lays out, 5 ingredients for ADA to kind of whip up a 1,233% kind of souffle that could rise to $10 by the end of 2025. $10. Now that number kind of smacked me in the face harder than the price of oat milk lattes. So ingredient 1 is the Bitcoin DeFi mashup that we just kind of geeked out over. Now Charles Hoskinson himself called it a massive win, destined to unlock trillions, that's trillions with a T, in idle liquidity. Now he claims that Cardano's total value locked could actually 4 times the combined TVL of Solana and Ethereum. We spoke about that in a previous video. Now, whether you kind of treat Charles like an oracle or kind of, Delphini or, friendly kind of neighborhood hype man, you can't imagine that kind of math. Now, if even a slither of actually stranded kind of Bitcoin money, moseys into Cardano's land, well, the TVL chart could actually look like it swallowed a skyscraper. But we're not done. Let's go ahead and stir in ingredient 2. Midnight. Now, if you haven't heard of Midnight yet, picture a privacy-focused sidechain wearing a tuxedo. It's sleek, mysterious, letting you perform smart contract sorcery without broadcasting every single move to the paparazzi. So Midnight is doing an airdrop so big that it's practically a Mardi Gras of kind of beads raining from the helicopter. Now we're talking distribution to holders across multiple chains, yes, including XRP, and that pool clock, at least it clocks in at around 37 million potential new eyeballs peering into Cardano's universe. That's just imagine for a second here, 37 million people curious enough to poke around, claim a token, and notice ADA sitting right there next to the buffet. Now, liquidity loves a crowd, and a crowd loves a free token. But now we have ingredient 3, and it's where we kind of leave retail FOMO and stroll into the kind of mahogany paneled offices of the big boys. Grayscale filed to, the convert its kind of Cardano trust into a spot ETF. So just picture Wall Street brokers, ties loosened, spreadsheets glowing, finally gaining, a button that says buy ADA in kind of boring brokerage accounts. Now, if the SEC rubber stamps that conversation, well, we might actually see an avalanche of pension fund money cascading into ADA like chocolate down a fondue fountain. And if you think regulators aren't warming up, remember the US Strategic Reserve announcement from March where the government dropped Cardano alongside Bitcoin and Ethereum. Well, Uncle Sam basically sent ADA a handwritten "you're on the list" invitation. Now we have the fourth one on the list, which is optimism surrounding, the upgrade. Scheduled for 2026, the Leos kind of promises to turn Cardano into the blockchain equivalent of a Formula One pit crew. 11,000 transactions per second and parallel block processing so smooth it makes current single lane blocks feel like dial-up internet. Even though Luis is a year away, anticipation is an asset in its own right. Now, you know how people kind of camp outside Apple stores weeks before a new iPhone drops. Well, crypto works very much the same way, except the sleeping bags are replaced with limit orders. And ingredient 5? Well, that's the good old cross-chain opening in general, right? Bridges, sidechains, wrapped assets, call them whatever you would like. The point is that Cardano stopped being a gated community and started installing revolving doors. When ecosystems kind of intermingle, value kind of swirls like soft serve ice cream. Now you can't separate the flavors anymore and everyone suddenly wants a cone. And so if you stack all 5 catalysts on a timeline, the kind of narrative arc, it feels suspiciously like a plot of every kind of feel-good sports movie. This undervalued underdog trains hard, gets a mentor kind of cameo from Bitcoin, public opinion yawns, but behind the scenes, momentum builds until bam, last minute goal, right? Cue the swelling soundtrack. So just imagine you're at a kind of soccer match where the score is still 0-0, but you can already see the striker winding up. Do you leave your seat because nothing's on the board yet? Or do you lean in, popcorn halfway to your mouth, waiting for that next kind of big moment, that net to bulge? And that right there is the tension that Cardano is living in right now. The price candles, they look desperately calm, maybe even a little bit pessimistic, but the fundamentals underneath are breakdancing. And here's the kicker, right? A 1,233% move to $10, it might sound ridiculous until you do some math and realize that ADA has already done wilder laps in previous cycles. From March 2020, the COVID crash, to its 2021 peak, we saw fantastic gains. I mean, that run was over 3,000%. $10 suddenly feels less like a pipe dream and more like deja vu with, well, better shoes. Now, of course, right, there's a splinter in every dreamy couch, and sideways price action always breeds doubt. Every time that ADA dips down lower than 60 cents, my kind of group chat devolves into doom posts. Cardano's dead, bro. Wake me up when it moves. The kind of usual. Maybe you've kind of felt that itch too. Should I bail? Should I flip to faster moving meme coins? Should I go outside and touch some grass? And trust me, right? I've wrestled with that kind of bear of impatience. Now, one night I kind of nearly rage quit ADA for a shiny yield, farm promising triple-digit APR. Then I kind of read the contract and realized withdrawals were locked behind more red tape than Formula One track. The moment of clarity here is that sometimes boring equals safe, and safe can quietly morph into explosive when the catalyst timer hits 0. So let's go ahead and talk risk, because it's not all sunshine and smart contracts, right? Regulatory fog could delay Grayscale's ETF for months. Midnight's airdrop could suffer technical hiccups. Remember the kind of chaos of certain token launches that clogged networks like rush hour plumbing. And hype fatigue is well real. If milestones slip our devs kind of blow deadlines, the market can punish hope with brutal efficiency. Now, I keep a kind of sticky note on my monitor. Hope is not a strategy, but informed patience is. So if you're riding ADA, treat these catalysts like probabilities, not promises. Now, I also want to address the liquidity myths. Skeptics say ADA's supply is too big. $10 puts it at trillions of dollars of market cap. Never gonna happen. And that sounds logical until you realize overall crypto market cap grew from under $200 billion to nearly $4 trillion in a single cycle. Expansion is not linear. It's a staircase jumps followed by coffee breaks. If global liquidity, institutional adoption, and regulatory clarity converge, the numbers that we kind of scoff at today become tomorrow's old news. Remember, right, when people laughed at Bitcoin hitting 10K, yeah, that aged like milk in the desert. It's also important to understand that market cap is only a reflection of macro level pricing. It doesn't actually show liquidity at all. It only shows you price multiplied by supply. It doesn't show you liquidity, doesn't show you value, doesn't show you the inflows. It's just a theoretical idea of value. And by the way, if you like all this kind of crypto talk and it makes your kind of eyes maybe even glaze over at time to time, do yourself a favor and jump into our free Discord server. There's a link in the description below. It's kind of like walking into the nerdy coffee shop where someone always kind of has a chart, a meme, and a hot take. Ask questions, lurk, debate, no judgment. And the more brains that are in their room, well, the smarter that we all get. Now, maybe you're thinking, great, but I need a trading venue that won't rug me, right? And hello, Blowfin. Hit the link in the description below, sign up in 30 seconds, and you're on one of the best up-and-coming exchanges where fees are lower and my patience for slow confirmations doesn't exist. Now, you can experiment with ADA pairs, set limit orders, or just watch the order book flutter like a stock ticker butterfly garden. Okay, let's loop back to our storyline climax then, because let's imagine that it's late 2025. Bitcoin ETFs inflows have normalized, the US reserve strategy is stacking ADA, Midnight is humming with privacy-centric dApps, and Lace's wallet, Bitcoin Bridge, now holds billions in locked value. At the same time, testnets are showing, Louis pushing 5-figure TPS numbers, and social media is ablaze with Cardano actually did it threads. Now, you peek at the charts and ADA just printed $9.80. FOMO echoes across X like a stadium wave, and the same friends who sold at 38 cents are, hammering your DMs for entry advice. And that's the kind of cinematic finale that the catalysts are teasing here. And whether it ends at $9 or $12, you'll remember these kind of quiet months when the market shrugged. And here is where I'm going to hit pause and breathe. None of this is destiny. Markets are emotional roller coasters strapped to macroeconomics and human psychology. I'm just a guy with a mic, and a caffeine habit, and a stack of research tabs open. So do your own homework, diversify, decide if this narrative fits your own risk tolerance. And if it does, maybe you ride the storm. And if it doesn't, maybe you cheer from the sidelines with some popcorn. Either way, being informed beats being blindsided. It's obviously worth noting that I'm no financial advisor and I can't give no financial advice. I'm, like I say, just a guy on YouTube. All right, let's go ahead and land the plane then, because Cardano's 5-ingredient recipe, Bitcoin DeFi integration, the Midnight airdrop, the possible Grayscale ETFs plus a whole host others, inclusion in the American Strategic Reserve, and the upcoming updates to Speed Demon upgrades, I should say, they form a pressure cooker ready to whistle, right? Price action hasn't even noticed yet, but fundamentals are setting the table for a feast. Whether the plates get served fast or we simmer another season, right? The smell wafting out of the kitchen is impossible to ignore.